All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Southern U podcast, where we seek to educate landowners here in the Southeast on all things land related. We cover everything from hunting to timber, ag, and just about any other shenanigans that we can get into.
Yep.
My name's Taylor McMurtry, and I'm joined to my right by Mr. Jeremy Ferguson.
Yeah, I swapped places this time.
You did. You swapped.
Matt's usually on the right.
I know. Matt's too cool for us today, though. He had to go do something that would be productive and make him money. And
it tickles me to death because his wife called me just a minute ago and was like, hey, in case you're looking for Matt, he's with me, and he burned his phone in a site prep fire today, so he is sans phone, and everybody's trying to get a hold of him and calling me.
Yes.
So we're trying to get through burning season, but that's how it goes. I laughed at him really hard, and him and Karen both were a little upset because it's not cheap to go buy, $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 phone.
I know. I don't know what they cost.
And I've burned 2 of them myself, so I've been there.
Well,
it made it funny to me.
At least they weren't your phones, though. They were state phones.
Correct. They weren't state phones then. I burned a Cetera phone and a phone from the first consultant that I worked with. And that phone was almost indestructible.
Yeah.
Until the fire got it. It had been run over, washed in a washing machine, dried, the whole nine. The old Southern Link phones were top notch, but
no doubt.
Anyway,
no doubt. And today we got a really special episode. I know you think we say that all the time, but in all seriousness,
they're all special.
They are special. They are, but this one is particularly special because we have Mr. Michael Maroney of Infinite Outdoors as a guest today. And Michael, thanks so much for hanging out with us today, man. We're excited to get a chance to talk with you. It's okay. You can say, hey, I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Your accent is killing me. You can say,
hey, at least Matt's not here because I don't know that Michael would figure out what an acorn was.
Yeah, that's true. If he starts popping off about acorns, you'd be like, huh?
Our other partner has a really thick accent from way out in the boondocks. So he can tone it down when he wants to. But when he really gets to talking, it gets thick.
It's funny because he's from Fayette, Alabama, but when he's really excited and he wants to tell you where he's from, it sounds like he's fat.
Yeah.
Alabama is what it sounds like.
Or Fayette, just
Fat.
F-E-T.
Fat Alabama.
I'm the minority here, so I guess I'm the one with the accent, probably, more than anything. So
no, I think you talk like a normal person. And the rest of us talk
not too bad.
No, but seriously, Michael, thanks for hanging out, man. I am very much excited about hearing exactly. I want our listeners to get an idea of what Infinite Outdoors is, what you guys do. I've kind of gotten a chance to talk with you a little bit, kind of before we, start recording, turn cameras on, that sort of stuff. But just kind of a quick intro, I guess. I don't want to butcher that, so I just rather you maybe tell us a little bit about you and also about Infinite Outdoors as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Infinite Outdoors, the kind of elevator pitch, as you would say, is we started back in 2020 as a platform to kind of connect landowners and hunters and anglers to help provide more access to private land. So what we do is we work with landowners, bring them onto our platform, and then help them manage their properties, help them set calendars, help them set dates for access, things like that. And then people can go on to our mobile app or to our website and create an account, and then go on and book adventures, book hunting trips, fishing trips, kind of anything as they please. So kind of whether they want to go waterfowl hunting for a day, they want to go sit in a duck blind, or they want to go, come out west and chase a mule deer, things like that. They can go onto our app. And basically it's a way for them to book a property that's already been vetted. We work with, our team of land managers and biologists to kind of make sure the properties are of good quality, so people are going to have a good experience, and then they can go out and hunt or fish and get access to areas that they wouldn't have had previously and essentially pay the landowners a trespass fee. So the landowners are making some money, and people are getting quality access and they know what they're getting. Our app has, offline maps and everything like that so that people know where to go. They know how to get there and can go have a good experience on somewhere they wouldn't otherwise be able to go to. So
Is it
That's really cool.
primarily short term, like hunting trips, or do you do season long leasing?
Right now, we just do short-term stuff. So
Okay.
that allows it. Kind of the whole premise and how it started was we had some landowners that approached our co-founders and were like, that they had known, and actually some of our co-founders' properties themselves, with like, they wanted to help profit or they wanted to make a profit off of their hunting stuff, but they didn't want to lease away their ground because they wanted to still be able to hunt it. And so that's how this whole idea came to be was like, hey, I know I have a valuable resource here, and I know that, the recreational assets that they have on their land, whether they're going to sell fishing trips or elk hunting trips or whatever it is. But then if they, in the past, they had, leased it away to an outfitter or leased it away to a private group, and then they couldn't go hunt it. They lost all
Hmm.
recreational rights. So in this aspect, they're just doing day leases so they can set. We have guys that, they like to duck hunt with their kids every Saturday. So we go in, help them manage the calendar, or they set the calendar days so that, they open up 2 days a week that they allow people to come out there and duck hunt. And then, it's rested. And then, they can go hunt it Saturdays if they want. And sometimes they don't hunt it Saturdays, but they have it open for them. So
Hmm.
that's why we stick primarily to the short term, the day lease kind of stuff, is so that the landowners can keep control of their calendar and keep control of their property and not
Okay.
not lease away their hunting rights all altogether. So
Yeah,
kind of works well that way.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
And you said that. So, do you guys have the staff that goes out, the land managers and biologists, or is that contract or state or?
It's a little bit of both. It's like so myself, my background is actually in like restoration ecology and fisheries biology and stuff. So I do a little bit of I'll go out and meet with landowners, specifically if they're kind of in the Colorado, Wyoming, Mountain West area. We have some contractors elsewhere that will go out and meet with them. We try to see every property as we bring it on, and if we, you know, sometimes that'll be like we'll go out and we'll book the property first before anybody else does to kind of make it a fun trip as well. So we get to go hunt it.
Yeah.
I've done that a few times, and then yeah, we if we have the only time we don't really go see it, which is pretty rare, is if we get we've got several landowners is or not several, but a few landowners that are very like they've been hunting it their whole lives. They have all their tree stands set up, they got their food plots set up or whatever it is, and have a really good lay of the land. And that's kind of an ideal landowner, honestly, because then, we can kind of help them manage, look at different things and help them manage how many days they want to hunt it or what they want to do and kind of let them run. The way the platform's set up is so that a landowner can really take full control of it if they want. We'll help
Hmm.
them and make sure that their platform or that their property is good for the platform and is going to do well. But we can also have the landowners that kind of just want to manage themselves and let it roll. So
Yeah, well, that's cool because I think I speak for most Southern guys around here. Everybody around here kind of has that dream hunt in their mind of like, man, it'd be cool to go and chase elk, or it'd be really cool to go chase mule deer, or pronghorn. Jeremy is absolutely possessed by the pronghorn.
Yeah.
So, people want to do that, but like someone like me, I think I would enjoy it, but I don't think that I would enjoy it if I was to just go and have no clue. Have no idea where I'm going. I don't know how this terrain. You know what I mean? Like going out there completely blind to me does not sound fun. That sounds like a nightmare. But going out there where you've got a little bit of an idea of what to expect, and that hey, there's animals that have been harvested here. You know what I mean? There's a huntable population of these animals here, and you actually stand a chance of being somewhat successful. That I think would probably resonate with a lot of people around here.
yeah, absolutely. We get a lot of people that come from like say the East or, Southeast or Midwest that want to come out and chase because a lot of our properties, we started in Colorado and Wyoming. So we've kind of expanded from there, but we get a lot of people that, like yourself want to come chase pronghorn, or they want to shoot a mule deer, or they want to chase elk, something like that. And that definitely helps because I think we found that there's a huge, population of hunters that they they don't necessarily want to guide, but they want to make sure that they want to increase their chances. They're making this
Yes.
investment
Yeah.
to come out west or to go wherever. And they're like, hey, I drew this tag, so wherever, and I could go to public, but public can be pretty crowded, in certain spots. And so, I've already invested in the tag and in travel and everything. So, we're lucky enough to where we can work with the landowners, and because the landowners are getting paid directly for every person that comes out there, it keeps our prices down and everything like that. So it's still not a huge investment, but you're increasing your chance of success like exponentially.
For sure. I mean, for example, like I've got one of my best friends. You guys have heard me talk about him here, Jake. He went out west one time, and it just like he got the bug, and now he can't hardly even hunt around here. It's just so boring to him.
Yeah.
It's just like I
get that.
I have no interest. It's just not the same. He wants to go live on the side of a mountain for 10 days and eat MREs, and that's his. Like,
I
he
don't
just
want
loves
to do
it.
that.
And so like he just got back from New Mexico. And he called me, yeah, I'm going to New Mexico, deer tag out there for mule deer rifle. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Who are you going with? Oh, no one. I'm just going. I'm like, what? Like, you're just going to go and have no idea? Yeah. So like I said, for me, that sounds like a gigantic waste of money in the travel and the tags and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, maybe it's not a totally guided hunt, but just knowing that you're increasing your chances to some degree, to be a little bit more successful. That I think would be very attractive to a lot of people.
Yeah. And kind of the reverse too. Like we're not, I've done a decent amount, not a decent, a small amount probably comparatively of like whitetail hunting out east, and so as we get more properties in the east and Midwest and stuff like that, I've gone to several of those because that's, I'm the other way. I get to hunt elk close to home. I get to hunt mule deer, pronghorn close to home. So kind of the I don't have anywhere to go if I go out east, kind of thing. And so we kind of get that both, like people that travel a long ways, and then people that maybe can't afford a full lease, or they don't want to get an outfitter. So they're like, hey, I want to take my kid out, or I want to go to this property, and I've been hunting public and striking out. So they kind of find a spot close to home and can do that as well. So it kind of works both ways, but I like to go, opposite of you guys. I like to go east a little bit and chase whitetails in November and whatnot as well.
Sure.
Well, if you decide to come to Alabama, don't come in November.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've heard January, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
late January.
Yeah, late January
or maybe February, or if you just heck, if you want to hunt them like some of the Alabama guys do, just come turkey season.
Yeah, let's say we got some outlaws around
So
here.
that's bizarre to me to think that that January is a rut, like because we're everything's in winter range and not even thinking about it by then here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only time I've been to Colorado, my wife and I, she had a conference, and so we just kind of made a trip out of it. But we went to Denver to start with, and then to Colorado Springs, and it was wild because I think we landed on like April the 19th or 20th or something. I remember because 420 stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember
Y'all been good there then.
Yeah. Our flight got delayed because there was so much snow on the ground, like we couldn't land. And around here in April, it's it's pretty hot usually.
Oh yeah.
In April is like
it's getting warm.
but we couldn't land. So
I've chased turkeys many times in April and early May and in the snow out here. So it's a different. It's not as fun, but you can
our
do it.
biggest snow event, of our lifetime, was actually in April.
Mm-hmm.
But that was 92 or 93?
93, yeah.
Yeah, we got about, at our house, we got 3.5 foot or so.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, that won't happen again.
No, I remember my dad like sitting me like in the snow, and it was at that time, I think I was 4.
Oh,
so I go down
taller
and
than you.
The snow is like this, and I'm like, get me out of here, man. Like,
Yeah, it's starting to pile up here. Not necessarily in the Front Range, but I think over Thanksgiving the mountains got 2.5 feet of snow, in 3 days. So
yeah, I was in Kansas up until the 24th.
Right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right before Thanksgiving. And one of the guys that was with us, he left early to go back because they got dumped on right there close to Colorado Springs.
Yep.
And he was trying to get home to help his wife out.
Yeah. Where were you in Kansas?
I was in the Manhattan area.
Okay.
I'll leave the town out.
I was nearby, like the 10th. We have some properties right there by Salina.
Okay.
To Salina, I was there the 10th through the 14th.
We were there same time. I was there the whole month. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think I hit the lockdown perfectly, though, that rut lockdown, as far as I know. I mean, I'm not a whitetail expert.
Well, I can tell you for hunting there in that area for many years now, this year was odd. One, it was windy and it was hot, which it's always windy in Kansas, but the temperatures late right there, right before Thanksgiving, were warmer than I have seen in the last, I know, 8 or 9 years. It may have gone back even further, but our deer, our bucks, it just peak and valley is never one just really good peak for a handful of days and then start to tail off like we normally see. It would be strong deer movement when the weather was decent, and then when it warmed up, you may not see a deer for a day or day and a half, and then it kind of cool off a little bit and they'd get back up. It was just late evening, early morning movement is all we were seeing. I mean, we still killed our target number of deer and 2 right there around 180. So it was a good time, but it just wasn't what it could have been.
Yeah, we had a guy that was hunting a different, like one of our infinite properties, but a different one than I was on, and he killed a real funky, like they taped it non-typical, like 181 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The night I showed up, so I was all amped, like, oh, they're firing up, and it was pretty quiet. So saw some good deer, but just nothing close enough. But
yeah,
for sure. Well, Michael, I kind of gave you a little bit of a rundown on the phone about kind of how we do stuff here. I'm just going to throw a few questions at you, and just so you guys know, just like always, nobody's teed up. Nobody knows what the questions are going to be. So hopefully Michael gives us some off-the-cuff answers. And
yeah, and if you don't, I'm going to dig pretty deep. I'll get some kind of answer out
there
of you.
Go.
A good one.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, I was in the lease business for about 10 or 11 years. Handled a little over 350,000 acres in 3 states. So
yeah,
I enjoyed the business, but I sure got tired of it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, we'll start you out with an easy one here. I think this ought to be a kind of lobbing up softballs, but what's the most popular game species that your clients, your users, are going after? Like when people are using, hitting up Infinite Outdoors to chase a particular animal, which one is it?
Yeah, so because of where we are and where we kind of our home base, we started waterfowl is probably the biggest. So we've rated more waterfowl hunt trips than anything. In the state of like Colorado and Wyoming, where we have a lot of properties, there's very little like good public land hunting for waterfowl. There's some, but it's definitely gets pressured pretty hard. So we have a lot of landowners that provide access to their fields. So waterfowl is our number one. I would say number 2 is pronghorn, because like we talked about earlier, everybody wants to come out, and it's the pronghorn don't have a huge range comparatively to the whole U.S. and so if you eastern Colorado, the whole state of Wyoming, for the most part, is the kind of the mecca, and in a lot of ways. So we get a ton of antelope and pronghorn. It depends on where you are. Antelope in Wyoming, pronghorn the rest.
Yeah, and shame on you Westerners for making it difficult for us to get a tag.
I know. it's hard. I mean, it took me 5 points to draw, 5 years to draw, in the unit right by my house.
Yeah,
And and go to Wyoming. If you're a resident of Wyoming, you're living sitting pretty, you're
yeah.
living large. But if you're not, it takes a while.
Well, I drew a Wyoming tag, an archery tag on pronghorn last year, and
Nice.
it took me. Well, I didn't go one year, so 3 years. But I we felt confident I would have drawn the second, but just
Yeah.
couldn't make the trip. And I don't honestly remember how the tags work exactly because we were putting in for Montana and Wyoming. My buddy actually drew both, and I drew Wyoming only. But good time. Oh yeah, I killed a Pope and Young buck. We hit it perfect as far as the rut goes for decoying.
Yeah.
We didn't take one to the body, but we had to abandon our decoy, and I had to abandon my bow on one particular instance.
Yeah.
So that was a blast, and that's what got me. Is if I can be there, and they're acting like that, I'll be out west doing that every year.
Yeah.
Assuming
Usually
you
like
get a tag.
that, because archery season typically ends end of September, and that's right around the peak of the rut is that
Yep.
end of the September, but it'll carry into October. Like I shot my buck October 7th, and saw him at 400 yards, and he had a doe, and she saw us. We were just laying there in the grass, and I think I just kept waiting. He kept coming. I shot him at 45, 50 yards with a rifle because didn't
Yeah.
have my bow, but I should have, because
Yeah.
he would have kept coming too.
They're definitely curious animals. That's funny. Just how they act so different out there on the prairies. It's so much fun. I know the camaraderie and all that with the rifle hunt, and you can stand around and there can be 5 or 6 of you or 4 or 5 of you and kind of go off and do your own thing. But having 2 or 3 guys, trying to work and stalk and kill them with a bow, it eats me up. I mean, it eats me up.
I agree. It's challenging, especially if you go early. If you're in the rut, it's a blast. If you go early season with the bow, it's challenging because they see everything.
Yes.
But they get pretty dumb during the rut, so it's pretty fun. They're curious and dumb, and it's a blast.
We kind of figured that out. Another friend of mine and I, we spent 15 or 16 days hunting northwest Nebraska 2 years ago, and we didn't kill a buck. We were doing it ourselves. We were hunting public land, and just from talking to some folks, we had access to a couple of private places. But that was a tough hunt. I'll be honest. But we were there early. We did not get there for opening day, but we were only 7 or 8 days after. But you could kind of tell that just in those 7 or 8 days that those animals had seen a lot of people.
Yeah. They get wise real quick, and then they get dumb real quick, and then they get wise again. So but they're a blast, yeah. They're some of my favorites.
That's cool. So I guess I don't know that this gets harder, maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, Taylor, come on.
Yeah,
Hard
hard
questions.
questions.
Lay it on me.
So just out of curiosity, what trends have you seen among your clients or your users for Infinite when it comes to like hunting out of state? Is there anything, like I know you said that waterfowl may be your most popular animal, but is there are you seeing where people are just really wanting to go and hunt like peak rut times or something like that, or is there a different trend that you're starting to see, maybe early season or later season, or a particular state that people are really wearing out or something like that?
Yeah, I think that, we've had first thing that comes to mind is all the different tag allocations that have come out in Wyoming and Colorado, particularly, specifically we had it's kind of twofold. We have in Colorado, they're getting rid of a lot of the over the counter elk tags. So that kind of came out this summer that next year, they're going to everything's for out of state is going to be, a entry. There's no more over the counter for archery anyway. So that kind of pushed a bunch of people to like really like elk was huge this year. Everybody wanted to come elk hunting because they were worried they didn't have any points.
Yeah, they went ahead and burnt those points.
Yeah, and they're worried that next year. And although I think that, you know, to my understanding, what I see happening is like, yes, it will be, you know, everything's going to be limited draw, but it's not going to, there's going to be leftover tags, or they're going to be, it's not going to take points to draw these tags, these areas that, already have leftover tags when they were, over like in different seasons. So I don't see it as a huge issue, but it definitely like the scare tactics were out there. So there was some, there was a big push for elk in Colorado specifically. We had a weird trend. So 2 winters ago, we had a really bad winter in Wyoming, especially Western Wyoming, Northwest Colorado, and the antelope got hit really hard. The mule deer got hit really hard. The elk got hit hard, but not as bad. So we lost it. There were some areas where, I think 80+% of the herds got wiped out because of these big storms. Because typically, they have their big winter range, sagebrush. It's not much out there, and even if they got a foot of snow, they can find grass, they can find forage. But it was you drive through that sage and like the roads through the sage, and it was 4 feet high of snow, so there was just no food, and so what the trend kind of went the opposite way, where people were afraid to apply for Wyoming because they're like all the animals are wiped out. But what was weird is like I don't know if like Wyoming, there's more or less a mountain range that runs through more kind of the middle, like eastern, central, north to west, or north to south, sorry. And pretty much west of that, it got hit really hard. But to the east, everything was fine. It was a average winter, and so there was a weird kind of everyone's like, don't apply to Wyoming, but the eastern part of the state was fine. The population was healthy, everything like that, and so it kind of took a year, and then everybody was like, "Oh, we're doing okay." And then now people are flooding into that side of the state and staying away from the west side of the state, which is good. That population needs to recover, but it's definitely created point creep has gone way up because of that, and tag prices, everything has gone up because they can't give away as many, and so that's been interesting. We've had we got the out west, we got CWD for the mule deer and everything, and the elk. People are kind of the game and fish trying to manage that. That's affected like where people go in terms of trends and whatnot. But so it's highly based on tag allocations, I would say, is kind of what creates those trends as well.
I mean, we see that many places that we go. I mean, it's not tag allocation, but I guess the thought process of the hunters back, I think it was 07, maybe 11 and 14. I know 07 and 14 were big HD years for the Midwest. We saw, I mean, as an outfitter, we had a place then in Pittsfield, Pike County, Illinois, and people just didn't want to come. They had the opinion that all the deer were dead. Now, granted, there were less mature deer, but he still killed plenty of mature deer. But talking to my buddies that are still kind of up there, it has swung back hard the other way, and they're talking, as many people, if not more, back in that area than there was, before. And I think I think social media and internet and YouTube helps that, and I say helps, maybe exacerbates is a better word. It can make it better or worse.
Influences.
Yeah, either one. But, Kansas, I talked to the game warden and the biologist in our local area, and I mean, they made mention, directly of Chris B. in his video on Kansas public land, how it just made people want to flock to Kansas and go to public land. And they're like, we can't really handle this influx of people. And that was one hunting season. Later, it just flipped right around on its head. So I can see that it, information is quickly gathered now, which, I guess that helps y'all to an extent.
It does. It definitely it creates trends for sure, in terms of like where people are influenced, and everybody posts everything that they shoot or don't shoot on the internet. And so people see that, and then, you know, or they see their buddy goes out and, shoots a Merriam out in Colorado or out in wherever, and then they all want to come up here and do it. And it
Yep.
just grows like wildfire. So, but yeah.
Well, it's crazy in the business that you're in and we're in, the way we think about it. Me personally, I don't want anybody to know what I'm killing. I don't want them to know where it's at. But for our business, we want everybody to see it and know where it's at. So it's been a catch-22 for me. I still struggle. I do not like talking about where we hunt, here at home, because we have a bad enough problem as it is, with neighbors. But it can be challenging trying to find a common ground or middle ground of putting out information and not giving everything away.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we see that every day on our app. Like we try to provide as much information as we can on the property listings and, where they are and things like that. But, people want a detailed view of the property boundaries and everything
Mm-hmm.
before they book. And I'm like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose, because now you're just going to go call the landowner and say, hey, I want to
Yeah,
come hunt this. And the whole purpose of one of the purposes of our app is so that we can help manage that and be that point of contact, so the landowner can do landowner things. He can keep
that's right.
farming, he can keep ranching, and not be getting all the tire kickers saying, hey, I want to come
Well,
on your
that
come hunt your property. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of the point of, having them be able to do their thing, and we can help them and keep them hands off as they want to be.
and that was a direct question of mine, and Taylor may have been going to ask it, but like you said, he doesn't tee anybody up, and he doesn't tell us what questions he's asking, so I don't know what he's going to ask you. How does the site work? Is it I create a username and I can gather unlimited information on these tracks, or am I having to pay a monthly annual membership to get a little bit of information, and I can pay more to get more? How does that all look?
Yeah, so we have everything in terms of like where the properties, general locations of the properties are, the availability, everything, price, all that stuff, property descriptions. That's all free. Anybody can go onto our website, or they can download the app. If you download the app, you do have to put your email and password
Right.
in there, create a username. But there's a free version of the app, everything like that. And then in order to book anything, and part of it is the liability stuff built into it, is you have to become a member, which is $40 a year. And that
Okay.
gives you access to like some updated app features like 3D mapping. You can drop waypoints, you can do the whole thing. There's actually free public land data for the whole country that's on the app if you just create an account. So we kind of give that out there to everybody. But that's more or less, the other thing you get is like, some companies will do like their elite membership or whatever membership, they get
Yep.
discounts on gear and things like that. We do the same thing. So we work with
Okay.
companies across the industry and do that. And that's with the paid subscription. But other than that, everything that you can see on the free version you get paid is the same kind of thing, for
Okay.
the most part in terms of information. And then when you book a property, you get the property boundaries automatically downloaded to your phone. You get descriptions, you get directions, like turn by turn directions, how to get there, where to park, if there's a blind or if there's a tree stand. All those are uploaded right onto your phone on the app. You go in, invite anybody that you want to go with. They all just accept an invite, create an account, same deal, and then put in your vehicle information, so that gets transferred to the landowner, so they know who's there and the right people are there, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's pretty cool.
That is cool. I'm gonna ask a hunter question, not a podcasting
yeah,
guy question. If I get on there and I'm looking at a particular track, can I see past hunting history, just when people have booked and been there this season? And if something's been just hammered, avoid it, so to speak. I mean, I know how people think like I do, to some of that degree. Just curious on that.
Yeah, they do. And we that is a feature that we put in a couple years ago to where you can see on the calendar, like it's big for waterfowl season, right? So we manage all of our waterfowl properties that they can only be hunted 3 days a week max. So there's 4 days of
Hmm.
rest every week. But you can still see the way the calendar kind of works is we set it with rules to where like it can, most of the time it's not hunted the day before, but you can see. So like if there's an opening, you could see the past 3 weeks on the calendar and there's red dots where it's been hunted. So it's like,
Okay.
okay, this got hunted 3 days last week, one day the week, or, the week before, and one day earlier this week, but it's Saturday, hasn't been hunted since Tuesday. So it's gotten, a couple days of rest and then you
Right.
can kind of book it. So you can see that back a few weeks, usually that
Okay.
calendar month. And then
And
you
of
can
course,
see all the
folks.
reviews right there on it too.
Yeah, and folks will read into that information whatever they want to. Either, man, they're killing them here, or man, they've hammered this place. We don't want to go. So who knows what they're going to think.
Well, and like, I
It's
mean,
like, you guys, how it goes. It's like sometimes it doesn't matter. You can hunt it every day. Like,
Absolutely.
and then other days it needs 2 weeks of rest. And we try to manage that, especially with big game and turkeys and things like that as much as we can. And then waterfowl, it's kind of pretty set that, because the landowners still want to provide access. We can't close them off to where it's one day a week. Then it's kind
Right.
of pointless, right? But if we rest it 4 days a week, that seems to work pretty good.
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
So, what about like, can you schedule these dates way in advance, or is it kind of a first come, first serve type thing?
Yep. So you can schedule big game, turkey, um, fishing, stuff like that as far out. Like we typically open those up. Like you could go on and say, hey, I want to book whatever, November 15th for a Kansas property next year. You can go on and you can send out like book that date basically. And the way it works is you're requesting to book that date. So the landowner will get an email and say, hey, so and so has requested to book this day next year. And they can either approve it, or if they say, oh, that's the day I always hunt with my kids, like they can deny it. And then they'll reach out or to us and we can figure out a date that works. But so you can book big game out up to a year, probably more in the future. And then waterfowl, we typically open up, and like dove, migratory stuff, we open up like 2 months before the season starts. So it's not, because we got to also, Colorado and some of the other states are bad about listing their dates too early. So we got to make sure we know the dates when they are with splits and things like that. But try to, give everyone a fair chance, because otherwise, you don't want somebody booking the opening day every week, for every year for 3 years out kind of thing. That's not really fair in my
Sure.
opinion. But
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I just think it'd be really cool to be able to, especially I guess you give the landowner. I mean, they have the ultimate say so. You know what I mean? They're
yeah,
going to say, hey, that's not going to work for us. Pick a different date, or sure, come on.
yeah,
Either way, but that's good.
Or a variety of responses in between.
Yeah, really get lost. Whatever. Well, that's cool. I know that you had mentioned that you guys go out to these properties and kind of check them out first. I was curious to know what kind of like conservation efforts or management efforts do you guys, other than just, hey, you're not going to be able to hunt these every day. We don't want to absolutely wear these properties out. But apart from that, other than just rest days, what else do you guys provide for those properties in terms of trying to
yeah. So it's
conserve
kind
them?
of kind of twofold. Depends on how big, how much they want to invest in it. Some of these folks have been doing it a long time and they're like, I know exactly where this is, this and that. So we'll go and help them, like, take some of it's pretty simple, right? They're asking, hey, what's the best? They're new to hunting. They don't know anything about, say it's a goose. They're a farmer and they're like, I don't know what I want to plant in this. What's best? What can I do to help, increase my sales or increase the, success on this property? We'll help them on, what's the best feed? What's the best thing that they can do to their property? Whether, and it's pretty simple, it's not anything too drastic. It's what they can do that's inside their farming plan. Um, and then it goes all the way up to, hey, you got somebody that's got a big section of property and they've seen X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's out west and they got mule deer and whatnot. We're national private land partners with the Mule Deer Foundation, so we can go in and work with, we've got a couple projects that we're working on to where we'll go into a property and work with like Mule Deer Foundation and analyze whether they need to change their fences or they need to install windrows or they need to, change whatever they need to disc it and put in some different forbs and things like that. To improve that habitat, we've gone all the way up to that scale. So it can be pretty small and just be like, hey, here's some little things you can do. Even like, hey, you haven't done anything with this field right here. If you can disc this and make a food plot right here, put some alfalfa in or put whatever, clover, whatever it could be for that area. That can be that and hang some tree stands here, do that kind of thing, or all the way up to like a big, larger scale project where we'll bring in some of these national partners and kind of make it a bigger deal. So
Gotcha.
kind of both ways.
Gotcha. That's cool. Yeah, I was just curious. And so, are you guys actually doing? Let's just say that you found a place, a property, and they needed timber cut off of that. Is that something you guys are doing, or are you subbing that out, or having other people do that? Or?
Yeah, it's kind of more like pointing them in the right direction to have it. Like we're not a huge team to where we have that kind of stuff. I mean, we have contacts to where we could help them be like, hey, this, but we don't have those contacts across the whole country kind of thing. So
Right.
it's more like, hey, this is the best practice that we see for your property to be a successful, a good sustainable property for whether they want to be whitetail hunting, or they want to whitetail hunt it, or they want a mule deer, or they want waterfowl, whatever it is, or even down to the fisheries side of thing. That's kind of my main background. It's in the fisheries
Yes.
world. So we'll go in and just here's what I would do in a perfect world, and then like how much money do you want to spend on it kind of thing, and then we can kind of be like, this is the simple way, and if you want to go big, this is the bigger way, and we point you in that direction kind of thing.
Yeah. So to boil it down, y'all are giving technical assistance and giving them a plan and
Consults, basically.
kind of point them in the right direction and hope that they do something with it.
Yeah, exactly. And they can see it, right? So like, they could maybe not do anything and they might sell a couple turkey hunts or they might sell whatever it is. And it's not any cost. It doesn't cost them, the landowners, anything for us to come look at them because it helps our business and it helps them in the long run. And then if they go do something and all of a sudden more turkeys are showing up or bigger whitetails are showing up or they have a better, they're seeing improvements on that, they can end up charging more and then they can end up, making more money in the long run. So
Yeah.
it's a long play. You're not going to make all that money back in year one, but you got a better property in the long run. So
Sure.
yeah, it's more, here's what we would kind of consulting on a small level.
You mentioned another one of my topics. That's pay. Does the landowner strictly pick, or do y'all strongly guide that landowner and then let him pick?
In terms of what he charges kind of thing,
Yeah.
what prices are. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's I'd say strongly guided is a good a
Okay.
good way to do it. So we have, based on all the years we've done it and where we, what's been successful, kind of like, here's what, you could charge this if you want. You can set your price there, but I can almost guarantee you you're not going to get the amount of bookings as if you charge this, and we can
Right.
push that. We can market that better. We can, get more bookings, and more bookings usually is a good thing because your reviews build up and then people start seeing it
That's right.
and more organic stuff starts happening. So yeah, it's strongly guided is a good way to put it.
Okay, I was curious how that went because from the leasing side of things, I've had, landowners that had beautiful places and they say, hey, I want to lease my place and this is what I'm going to ask. And I'm like, well, you can ask the rest of your life. You're not going to get that out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was curious.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I was just curious on kind of how that worked.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny out west. Some of the places like we've started to build a little bit of a reputation because some of the landowners have realized that they can make a lot more money doing it the way that we do it.
Right.
Than somebody just paying them X amount of money for a lease, and because they're getting the return on that every time someone comes out. They're getting a check, every month for however many people showed up. So it's definitely changed, and we've been able to talk to people and been like, hey, instead of charging this, let's lower it a little bit. You'll get more people. You're going to end up making more money in the long run. I know it seems like less, but it's going to work kind of thing. So just
Yeah.
trust us and usually does. So
Gotcha. That's cool. This got the last one I've got right here, but it's more landowner centric. But if a landowner was interested in maybe getting hooked up with you guys, what's the best route for that, or how do you guys find landowners that are willing to have people on their property?
yeah, so the first part of that is that we have like on our website, go on there and just there's a landowner page and everything like that. You can find it from the homepage, and just go up and you can set an appointment with us and kind of set up your a consultation more or less, and that'll go to myself or one of our land managers, and we'll kind of reach out, talk you through it, say, okay, get an idea of where it is, what it looks like, kind of do our own version of kind of e-scouting in a way, and kind of get a lay of the land. I usually go in and dive into some of the data that's out in those different areas from, different game and fish organizations and whatnot, and then try to set up a time to go meet them. And then, yeah, in terms of us finding landowners, we reach out to people. We get a ton of people that a lot of landowners that find us organically, or they've heard about us on something or another, and then or their friend had it, like our family member or whatever it is, or they heard about us from a hunter sometimes, and kind of see that. We'll get, I think some people have been turned down. They try to go ask for permission and they can't, and then they call us and say, "Hey, have you ever talked to these guys?" And sometimes that works where we'll call them and they
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
understand that. And so it's kind of the world we live in. I think in some ways it's unfortunate. Some ways it works out really well to where, the world of here's a 6-pack of beer and a handshake, can I go hunt your property, is becoming harder to do. And a
Yep.
lot of that has to do with, liability and things like that we help the landowners with. So they see that and they're like, oh, I can be covered and also, have get some money on the side and
Yeah, I have noticed a distinct difference in the last few years, and exactly what you're talking about. And it seems, just anecdotally to me, it seems to be very closely correlated to the age of the individual that you're working with.
yeah.
If it's an older farmer, he might say, "Hey, go get me a fifth of Crown or a 6-pack of beer." And you talk to his son that's in his, mid 40s, and he's like, "Heck no, this is what it's going to cost. We want insurance paid and certificate of coverage." They're going to run the gamut on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't necessarily want to, like, that's kind of like a weird thing, right? As everyone goes in and they're like, "Oh, you're privatizing the hunting industry." Not necessarily us, but like the industry is getting private, and it
Mm-hmm.
should be. But we want, like, our whole main goal is, and our mission is to try to get as much access to as we can, for
Right.
people to go experience and these places that otherwise, they'd say no every time, kind of thing,
Uh-huh.
or it was nobody could ever go on this property. And we have several ranches like that where they've been locked up by some big landowner and they didn't ever let anybody on it. And we went and talked to them, say, "Hey, you'll see every person's going to be on here. Here, yeah, you're going to make a little bit of money on the side, and we'll cover the liability stuff's all built in." And that's really our goal, is to, like, not make it, privatize everything. We want to kind of go the other way and make it accessible to everybody. So it's definitely a battle that you sometimes have to explain to people, but once you kind of keep pushing forward and they see that, and it helps. And yeah, you have to pay a little bit, but we try to keep our prices to where it's not gonna, it's nothing crazy, to where you can go on and still have a good time and feel like it's worth it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's cool, man.
but
And look, if you're a listener and you're kind of tuning in, like, okay, this is Southern U, and we just talked about a whole lot of Colorado stuff. Why?
yeah.
What are we doing right now? I just think it's cool because, like I said earlier, there's a lot of people in the Southeast that have aspirations of hunting elsewhere. They want to go other places, and they want to hunt other animals, and even fisheries. I mean, I got a chance to fish, I think it was called 11 Mile Canyon when I was out in Colorado. It was amazing. That was like a bucket list thing for me. I paid for an extra bag to check on the flight to take my fly rod, and, like, I wanted to catch a, like, native trout, like, you know what I mean? I want to do the whole thing when I was out there.
Bluegill not good enough?
No, it's not. Nothing wrong with them, but there's a million of those around here. But so I caught like 3 browns and a couple rainbows, and had the time of my life out there. But there's people around here that could absolutely benefit from what you guys are offering. So,
I would love that option. From time to time. The unique thing about Alabama is we've got about 6 different ruts that you can hunt.
Yep.
So if y'all had properties, in all 6 of those, be like, man, let's chase this rut around. I'm gonna go up to so and so's today, and next week I'll go to the other side of the state. So that would be very interesting.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, we started in Colorado and Wyoming, and have kind of started to expand out, and have really seen like a need for it in the Midwest and the Southeast and the East, to where there's not a ton of public land, and there is, but it's not as much. And I don't want to take anybody's lease away, but the people that maybe aren't leasing their property right now, and they or the people that can't maybe afford to have a lease all year, gives you options, kind of thing. So hopefully, we'll have some. We're starting to creep our way into the to the southeast and into the east and Midwest. So hopefully we'll have some more options, as we continue to grow.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
Yeah,
there's the hunting industry, as you know, and the hunters are changing drastically, and I think there's going to be a lot more people consuming the services that you guys are offering in the next few years.
Yeah,
I really
do. Hope is that we can have access that otherwise we wouldn't be able to about anywhere. So,
right.
Well, I mean, I think it's really cool that the landowner kind of still maintains all control, and like it's not a season long lease type thing, because from what I've gathered in our conversation, if a landowner says, okay, I'll allow someone to hunt the month of October, but after that, then I'm shutting it down and I'll keep it for myself the rest of the time, or what, they can do that. And so I probably makes it a lot more attractive to landowners if they go, I know that someone isn't necessarily going to be on my property all season long. Those sort of things probably goes a long way.
Yeah, and knowing when they're going to be there too. Like you get an email and a text saying, "Hey, John Smith driving a gray Ford with this license plate's going to be here tomorrow. For the next 3 days," kind of thing. And so like somebody shows up in a Subaru with whatever license plate, that's not right. That guy's not the right person. And so that's a big thing. And like you said, Jeremy, to where the generation's kind of changing, and maybe those older farmers that they didn't hunt, they didn't care at all, but maybe their son or their kid hunts, or their kids hunt, and they're like, hey, well, we still have this resource here, but my kid likes to hunt. They're always home for Thanksgiving, and I want to make sure that works out for them. So you're not getting rid of that whole, your recreational rights or your hunting rights the whole way. So it works well that way.
Cool.
I've got a loaded question, and it may not be a good one, but it's one that I encountered. Not exactly the same. It's not apples to apples. It's apples to oranges, but through another company that leased ground. How do y'all keep up with, who's out there or who's on the land and doing things with the land outside of the hunters? Is that just strictly the farmer, the owners got to try to keep you up to date on, man, this is occurring, we got farmers showing up here, or we may have logging crews, or we may be drilling wells? Is that just up to them to transfer that information to y'all, or?
Yeah, pretty much. And what we're lucky enough to do is, because we go out and meet with all the landowners, and because we have a relationship with all of them, that's kind of something we've tried to do from the beginning, is to not just be like, hey, you listed your property with us, good luck, we're never going to talk to you again, kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
I guarantee our maybe not myself, but our like land management team and operations team could call any one of our landowners tomorrow and get them on the phone. So
gotcha. Okay.
That's kind of what's cool about it, is to where they're very open to they're very open with us and saying like, hey, and what's cool on the app too is they can go in and say they got 10,000 acres and but they're going to be moving cattle through this
Yeah.
section, and hey, I got a hunter coming this week. They see that they get an email about it, and they're like, they can go in and block off a certain section that they know they're
Okay.
going to have cows in, kind of thing. And that hunter gets an updated map and says, okay, I can't go here, but I still got this 8,000 acres I get to hunt or whatever it is. So
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, because I had the total opposite experience
yeah,
on a place years ago, but yeah, I was curious how that worked. Having that up to date and not even have to, well, you got to pick up the phone, but look at the app. You don't have to call and talk to anybody.
Yeah.
That would be.
we try to automate it as much as we can to where our dev team is really good. They build the whole app in house and everything like that. And our CTO, he always says that like, I want to make this as easy as possible so that you can spend less time on your phone and on the computer and more time enjoying yourself in the field, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there needs to be a little bit of human interaction, but it's minimal for the most part.
Yeah,
you know?
When people are buying something, they don't want much human interaction.
No, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, that's all the questions I've got to throw at you, man. He didn't sputter or stumble like a single.
No, he's
time.
got
Just
the
kinda,
speech down.
Yeah, he got it. Man.
You've done this a time or two.
A couple of times. Talked to enough people
Yeah.
about Infinite. You gotta. It's such a different topic for a lot of people that you learn to talk about it well and whatnot. But it's also it's been a lot of fun to be a part of. So I feel strongly about what we're doing, and hopefully it's good for a lot of people too. So that helps.
No
Yeah,
doubt,
absolutely.
man. And so, what's the best way for either a landowner or somebody looking to hunt or fish or whatever? What's the best way for them to find you guys? Website or app?
Yeah, so the website's infiniteoutdoorsusa.com. You can just Google Infinite Outdoors. And then the landowners, there's a scroll down the page, there's a landowner page they can go to and check everything out. And then if you're, hunter or even a landowner just wants to learn more about, how it would look from a hunter's perspective, the app is probably the easiest. You can just download the Infinite Outdoors app. It's free to download, create an account and just kind of explore on there. And then, if you're interested in all the other stuff, or gonna book a hunt, just $40 for the year. It's pretty minimal, and yeah, kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brought up another question.
Uh-oh.
If you keep talking, I'm going to have a bunch. The $40 a year, does that covers what y'all make? The hunter themselves doesn't have to ante up to anything else.
No, that covers like your membership, right? So you get like that kind of helps us with our marketing stuff and all that liability, all that, insurance,
Yep.
whatnot. And then the landowner or the hunter will pay the landowner like per day that they're going out there. So,
Okay.
whatever that landowner, we set that pricing, that's what that goes to for that landowner, or the hunter will pay that and the landowner gets paid.
Okay.
But an outdoorsman fee, more or less, is what
Gotcha.
that's what, the gun fee or rod fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, it is more and more is known about businesses. Everybody wants to know how you make your dang money.
Yep.
And I hate telling people, but they're going to get it out of you one way or another.
Yeah, I know, right?
They won't know how you're making money off of them.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, cool, Michael. Man, I had a blast. I know Jeremy got to ask all kinds of good questions too, and so all you did was wake up the itch that's been suppressed.
I'm telling you, it's
now
bad.
He's ready to go back out west. Right?
Well, I've got a bunch of my buddies, and I'm trying to talk all of them in. About 10 or 12 folks to go on a DIY public land pronghorn hunt. And it don't have to be public land. I'm just familiar with some places out there after going, so I feel fairly confident I could at least get somebody on a goat. But now it seems like we got an alternative way.
Hey, it might be a better
place
way
to figure
do it,
out some land.
Yeah.
Whenever we'll get you set up on some properties for sure. We got plenty of them. So
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Well, like I said, Michael, we appreciate it. And if we can ever be of any help, I mean, we're just a couple of rednecks, and of course Matt's not here, but he's sure enough redneck. But if we can ever be of any help, let us know, man. We're
hopefully we'll turn you guys on to some folks here in the South. Understand you already talked to one guy in a location that we know a lot of people down there. But if you do break in there, you will have access to some monster landowners before long.
Peanut and cotton fields.
That part of the world has a lot of old South money. Yeah, if you get the chance to go down, you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, lots of cotton fields and lots of peanuts.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on a lot. It's been really fun talking to you guys, and awesome. And same. Don't hesitate to reach out, or if you're coming out west, or if I'm coming that way, I'll give you a holler.
Yeah, please do.
Absolutely. We can put it won't be very big ones, but we can put you on whitetails.
Yeah.
you can shoot till you get tired of shooting.
Perfect. I'm okay with that.
Well, guys, that'll just about wrap this one up. We just want to say again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we do invite you guys to please like, share, subscribe, all the things, all the social platforms that we've got going on, and check out Infinite Outdoors.
Absolutely.
Download their app, free to download. I think that's a really, really cool mission that these guys have. And I think that people in the South are going to find it useful, especially these guys that get the itch to go out west like Jeremy does.
So when you guys that's listening, when you hear this, hit them up quick.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be in front of you.
Hey guys, we appreciate you, and we will see you on the next one.
Appreciate it.